Those who know me at least at some point in the last few years would have had to put up with one of my frustrated rants about bullying and the lack of creative thinking to solve this horrible part of society. I've experienced all ends of the bullying spectrum, from the little child who's confused and upset about being called names repeatedly, to the teenagers who are devastated at the way in which their character is being slowly dismantled piece by piece. I've witnessed the anger, frustration, desperation, sadness and bitterness of parents, and heard the complete and utter bullshit that comes from the mouths of MPs and ministers just to score some political points. Of the 182 schools I have worked in, I've met hundreds of teachers passionate about educating young people and keeping them safe, but I have to say, I've also met the same number of disengaged teachers who always seem to find somebody to blame before taking on the responsibility themselves. My work has enabled me to work with passionate individuals within the community, all of whom have a singular mission to make a positive difference in the lives of others. I'm always amazed at the amount of passion and enthusiasm there is for making young people's lives safer and more enjoyable. Having met thousands of people at all ends of the spectrum, I often ask myself why a majority of the services available to victims of bullying driven by a need to provide a post-experience support blanket. Why do we throw hundreds of millions of pounds into services that address this horrible part of society once a victim is already traumatised by their bullying experiences? Why do we dedicate millions of energetic hours to picking up the pieces in the hope that counselling will restore the damage created by bullying? Why do we create services to support services designed to support victims and their families? And why do we continue to believe these point-scoring muppets in political suits when they actually make promises because all they're doing is talking for a campaign? Having famous people spearhead campaign marches and posters at pivotal points of the year, normally when society is outraged by a story that has just hit the news and yet in reality is happening daily up and down the country, is a very important part of the whole bullying cycle. But I often ask myself, what are the long-term benefits of these activities? If bullying is to be resolved, we need to redirect our thoughts and energy towards education. And no, I'm not talking about a bullying campaign where we promise to be good and friendly and hug each other. I'm talking about empowering young people with the skills to assess and avoid a potentially dangerous situation. An education where young people are taught how to communicate correctly and how to create evidence that can stop the bullying experience straight away. At the risk of sounding like a parrot, as I've been going on about this for many years, we need a national movement of preventative measures training, where young people from as young as 5 years old learn some practical and effective non-physical skills to tackle bullying. Just imagine a world where every child from 5 years up learn how to identify a potential bully, increase their awareness skills of potentially dangerous situation, improve their understanding of positive and negative body language, improve their communication skills so they can communicate correctly with those around them, to create evidence about their experiences so they can stop bullying straight away and appreciate those people around them who can help them straight away. Bullies and bullies will still exist in this world, but their crimes would be considerably harder to commit. They would be dealt with more promptly, and they would have the knowledge that the person or persons they are bullying is empowered with the skills to stop it. Well, 13,000 young people have experienced such an education, and the results are pretty good. I work with thousands of victims of bullying at all levels and education, and what I've seen is the ability to rebuild their confidence and self-esteem relatively quickly. I've also worked with thousands of happy feet, a term I use for young people who have not yet experienced bullying, and seen how they absorb the information to develop a strong set of skills that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. I think we call it resilience. The answer to the bullying question is sometimes very complex with many variables thrown into the situation. But overall, it's about empowering young people with the skills to prepare them for this super difficult and challenging fight. You may not agree with me, but something needs to change, and change quickly. And I don't think we can rely on these political muppets to be able to give us a solution. The answer is education, and it's preventative measures education, so I ask you just to get on board.